that we're all here, and this is actually working in all the right places. So, which is always good to know that you're broadcasting into the right places. We're broadcasting on Facebook, so that's a start. And I'm just going to check that we're also broadcasting on LinkedIn as well, so that we're there too. And let's double check. Yes, we're there, and we're on YouTube. So hopefully you're ready. We're starting at 7. So grab a notepad and pen, and we will start just after 7 o'clock. I'm Dean Seddon, founder of Maverick. I'll be walking you through tonight's training, which is all about reinventing your sales and building more relationships with the right people so that they believe in you and they buy from you, which is a very different approach to I see what a lot of people are doing at the moment. And I'm just double checking that we're all working on Maverick's website as well. We're there too. Awesome. So welcome to tonight's session. We'll start in a couple of minutes, and we'll really dig into some of the key principles if you really want to reinvent your sales in a digital world. You don't want to burn through prospects. You don't want to miss opportunities. And ultimately, you don't want to damage your brand. If you haven't seen my post today, I shared a post about this and how people are literally burning opportunities, leads, and prospects on LinkedIn in the aid of speed and need to get more clients. They do silly things. Hi, Helena. Do let us know where you're coming in from on the chat, so we can all know you're here. And we will start in a couple of minutes. We'll just do the housekeeping. Hopefully you can see me, hear me, and all of that fun stuff. And, you know, we'll just start in, I don't know, 5 minutes. No, not even that probably, just so that we can make sure that everybody's here and the session's underway, which is fun. So do let me know where you're calling from in the chat. Love to hear who you are, where you're from, all that fun stuff. We're one of the things that I find really interesting about sales is I would not describe myself as a natural salesperson by any means. I would say, in all honesty, I'm probably the worst salesperson, because I really want to do things to make the sales process easier for me. And I think everybody wants to do that. But where my methodologies come from, where I developed what I'm going to share with you tonight came from, was actually about 20 years ago. It's actually my birthday today, by the way. So it was maybe 20 years ago. So I got a job in a company as a salesperson, junior salesperson. And my job was literally to hit the phones, prospect, hi, Louise, prospect and drum up business. And I was awful at it. I was horrendous at it. I felt bad doing it. I felt uncomfortable doing it. And so really what I'm going to share with you has been developed over 20 years of how can I avoid the cold call? How can I get people interested without having to do the hard sell? And so I'm going to share it with you tonight. So get comfy and we'll go through this session. And if you've got questions as we go, please knock yourself out on the questions. I'm more than happy to do the question Q&A. So there's two ways to do the whole selling process. There's finding customers and there's creating customers. I'm going to show you the finding way, and then I'm going to show you the creating way. If you're not a natural salesperson, the creating way is much easier for you. If you're the kind of hunter-killer salesperson, you're probably going hunting, knocking doors, beating doors down, that kind of thing, and you live for that. If you're not that, this is what you really want. So hopefully you can all see me, hear me. I'm not putting you to sleep. I'm here. So if you are here, do let me know in the chats. So finding clients. Let's go finding clients. So what you will see from this slide is you'll see that literally 90% of the people selling are doing this thing. They're literally pushing out messages, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. You get inundated with them on your email inbox. You get inundated with them on LinkedIn. If you're on Facebook for business, you get them. If you're on Instagram for business, you get them. You still get the phone calls. It's happening all the time. People are trying to find somebody who'll actually buy their stuff. And if you're a well-known business or a bigger business, you'll have probably training and people on the phones to try and help you evade some of this. But if you're a small business, you probably get massively hit up for this stuff. And so I'm going to show you why I think that this is a bad idea. And I think why in our current world, that what's going on right now, the impact it's had on the way people work, I think it will help you. So everybody's doing this. Literally everybody's doing this. If you look at your market, whoever your market is, you look at it, everybody is going, I need more leads. I need to make more calls. I need to do more things because it's just the way people are doing it. If you look, take a good look. Sorry, I'm just passing a note to my colleague. If you look at this, only 90% of the market are actually looking for what you're doing. And if they don't pay attention, you're gone. So most classic sales environment, what's happening is people are trying to find the 10%. People are hunting to find that 10% of people who are seriously interested, curious, whatever. And of that 10%, just a third of the 10% are actually looking to buy. And this is where on the 3%, people are putting Google ads targeting people with intent, because they're looking for intent, whereas the 7% are just pondering it, and there's the ghosters. But there's a ton of people, a literal ton of people, who are not yet there yet, and they're just sat there. And most salespeople are trying to find the needle in the haystack. They're trying to find the people who are not certain, don't know what they're doing, and trying to basically convert people or find the people they can convert. And it breeds a culture and a strategy within the business to go find the needle in the haystack. Literally just go find the needle in the haystack. And what really you're trying to do is you want both. You want to develop a pipeline and a culture, and you want to develop the people at the top. Fundamentals of selling, fundamentals of business, that's what you should be doing, developing the pipeline for now and the pipeline for the future. But everybody is focused on that top 10% of people. And so what happens? All of your business activity, everything becomes driven to that. And if it doesn't achieve that, forget it. Yeah. And the amount of businesses that I've consulted with where they say, oh, no, we've got to build for the long term. We've got to build for the long term. But then when you start to implement changes in their business, all they want is that 10%, and they want it now. And I understand that, but actually the key to long-term growth, the key to inbound inquiries, the key to all that is not paid ads. Yeah, that's not the way to build a business. It can give you a short-term hit, but the real way to build a business is to actually foster people coming to you and actually going out there and not just finding people, but creating new client relationships. So here's what this looked like. And this is a study. It's not my study, but it's done by Les Binnett and Peter Fielding. They did a massive study of how people sell and market their business. And what they found was that if you focus on short-term sales activation, as they call it, people who'll buy now, and this was in a broader marketing and sales context, but if you focus on the people who buy now, in the very short term, you will have a benefit from that. But if you think about long-term sales growth, and we're talking about 6 to 9 months here, 6 to 9 months of tough going to actually bring this system into place. and changing a culture and changing the way people think about things, it actually pays off in the long run to actually invest in the long-term sales where you're known. Everybody says brand building. Oh, no, we're B2B. And I don't mean fluffy stuff. I mean making sure your market and your prospects know the problems you can solve for them. And that's a salesman's job. That's a sales department's job, not a marketing department's job. Marketing can help, but it's a salesman's job. It's a salesman's job or salesperson's job, correction, to build the relationships with the people they want to do in the future. And so it's proven hands down that over a 6 to 9 months that this long-term sales strategy and doing both together can actually pay off, and building both a short-term and a long-term strategy that works together pays off. And so here's the problems with following the 10%, just to summarize: the finding clients. To hit your numbers, you have to churn through lots of different people to get to the right people who are ready to buy right now. Hunting buyers, active buyers, is actually quite expensive and time consuming. So if you think about it, if you're trying to find the right person, the needle in the haystack, the person who's ready to buy right now, the 3% that are ready to buy, if you're focused on that, you will spend a lot of time talking to people who are not ready to buy. Think about that. So some people say, no, we can't do this. We're not in a position to be able to do it. But you're already doing it. In all of your marketing, all of your selling, you're actually doing this already. But what's happening is you're ignoring or eliminating or paying lip service to follow up, and not actually cultivating those people for the future. So you're doing this already, but what you're probably doing is not moving anybody on. So that's problem 2. You're hunting and spending a lot of time not cultivating. And then problem 3 is that this cycle goes round and round and round and round in circles all the time. So you start again each month or each quarter, and you do the whole thing over again. And when you're going around in that cycle, you're not making the next quarter or the next month any easier, because your culture is focused on getting things now. And that culture then creates a strategy which is basically focus on the people who will buy now. And you end up inadvertently never nurturing, never developing any prospects or leads for the future, never getting your name known, never doing all of that stuff. And I see it time and again. I see companies who will happily connect with me on LinkedIn, for an example. They'll connect with me on LinkedIn, try and get my mobile number, hit me up on the phone, and try and sell me stuff straight away. And when I say no, I never see them on LinkedIn ever again. It's like they've vanished, like they never existed. And it's madness, because they're not doing anything to take me from where I am with a problem. Yeah. The amount of times that people tell me, sometimes our customers don't realize they have a problem. Sometimes our customers know they have a problem, but don't know how to solve it. These are common things people are saying. And the problem is that everybody's focused at the top and nobody wants to deal with the bottom, but they spend a lot of time on the bottom people who are not there yet, not ready. And they spend a lot of time there and never really cultivate. It's madness. So I'm going to share with you the opposite way of doing this. But before I do, I want you to just think about this process. So everybody has a journey. Yeah. So this is a journey, and it's a very simplified one, very, very simplified. There's people who need what you've got to offer right now, and they're totally unaware of the problem that they have in their business and totally unaware that it exists. They're like living with a limp and don't realize, because they've done it so long, they don't see the need. It's not hurting them, in other words. Then you've got another group of people who basically know they've got a problem, but maybe are sat there going, what do we do about it? They're sat on the problem. Then you've got people who realize this is what we want to get to. They haven't decided to take action, but they know that that's where they want to get to. It's like on a plan that they never implement. It's on a list of tasks that they never get to. And then you've got the people who actually make a choice, right, we're going to pursue this. We've lived with this for so long. We know that this problem's in our business. We know that it doesn't have to be. Let's just effing do it. And then they go and find, hunt, research, get quotes, go to tender for somebody to provide a solution to the problem. So they move up that journey. But let's flip it on its side so you can see it there. So here we've got that same problem with the people unaware of their problem all the way through. So the people unaware are off the page, but all the way through it is here. Now, what we found is that the closer you get, the first contact you have with a customer, the closer you get to them finding their solution, the more transactional and the less value you can offer them. And so value selling, you move from value selling to transactional selling, the closer they get to finding the solution by themselves. And the more likely it's going to be a competitive process, the closer the customer finds is to their solution and finding their solution. And RM, thank you so much. I'll pay you later for saying I'm looking younger every day. It really is my birthday today, but I decided to do this session tonight. My wife's at home and said I have to go home to cut my birthday cake as soon as we finish. So I will. So if you look at this like this, right, now you start to see all of people, the majority of businesses' sales activity is literally down here. Yeah, they're hunting for the people who are at this place. And that's what they're trying to do. And that is literally the needle in the haystack. That's finding clients, hunting them out. You're going through lots of people to try and find the ones who are interested. So let's look at the other way of doing this, the creating clients. Let's have a look at that. So it's exactly the same process. People go through the same process. Yeah, it's the same principles and models. Nothing really changes there. But the tools are identical. Yeah, but the strategy is totally different. And instead of eliminating, we incubate. So what do I mean by that? So as we're doing our selling, we can become more relational. And what we're trying to do is take people from unaware to finding the solution with us. So we take them on that journey. And so they're unaware, the tools are the same, the strategy is different, but instead of eliminating people, instead of going, actually, this person said they don't need this, or this person, that means that they're either unaware of the problem. If we know that they've got that problem and they're saying they don't need it, if that's a salesperson, it's going, well, I have to work harder to show them their need. I have to help them see their problem. I then have to help them see how they can get an outcome. Not tell them, but help them believe it for themselves. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help people find a solution for their problems. And so we harvest and we sow. We go for the short term and we go for the long term. And there's a really good saying, I love it. It's you reap what you sow. And so we're looking for what we can find and cultivate right now, but we're sowing, we're investing in prospects for the future so that next month our sales are a bit easier and the month after it's a bit easier because more people know us, more people have got awareness, more people know who we are, more people know we exist. And as I said at the beginning, I'll just flick to it so you can see it. These are the primary reasons why people should choose to do business with you. Do they know you? Are they aware of you? Are they aware of your offer? Are they aware of the solutions you provide to problems? Do they believe you? Yeah. There's a big difference between knowing about you and believing you. And people don't believe because you tell them. People believe by discovery. People believe by learning for themselves. People believe by you sowing the seeds. People believe by repetition. Yeah. If we look across the pond to our American friends, you know, there are lots of controversies over there at the moment. Well, maybe coming to an end and I'm not going to go too deeply into this, where people have said things repetitively and people have believed them. Repetition does create belief. And I've used this example before. If I went on national television every week for a year and said, I'm the richest man in the world, I'm the richest man in the world, and say, I don't know, 10 million people saw me say this every week, guess what would happen if we did a quiz at the end of the year? If we did a quiz at the end of the year and said, who's the richest man in the world? Some people would believe it was me. Despite no evidence, despite no proof, some people would believe it. And now what I'm saying to you is not to tell people something that isn't true. What I'm saying to you is that you can give people information, but to get people to believe it, they have to see it more. They have to experience it. They have to, it's not just a case of here's a load of case studies and look, I've proven it. We can do what we say we can do. They have to absorb that from themselves. And what a lot of salespeople do is they try and do that at the same time as they're pitching their product. Whereas with the model I'm showing you, which is basically creating clients, the client creation model, is we're incubating people. We're sowing that awareness, that belief, and that relationship for the future whilst we're developing the current potential clients. Now, people say people have been doing that for years. No, they haven't. What they've been doing for years is somebody says that they're not interested right now. And so what they do is they literally just check in with them every so often, say, just checking how you're doing with this. That's not incubating a lead or a client or a prospect. Incubating a client, lead, or prospect is about showing them on a regular basis, even if they're not ready right now, even if you know that they're not at that stage, that you are building that belief. LinkedIn's brilliant for this, by the way. Building that belief and awareness so that they're aware of you. They don't forget you, but you're not pestering them. They see you on LinkedIn. They see you in different places. They see you doing events and things like that. And they see your key messages, which are talking to the pains your product solves. So it's very, very clear. And they're seeing examples of people you've helped, whether that be in posts, whether that be in sessions you're doing, all those different things. So you're incubating people for the future, instead of eliminating people because they said, no, we're not interested, we're not doing that, maybe call back in a year's time or whatever. So you're harvest and sow, and you reap what you sow. So instead of doing what everybody else is doing, i.e. going and hunting and finding the solution, the people who are looking for the solution and spending all your time on that, what you can do is deliberately get in with people at the problem stage. Really just go, how many sales do we want over the next year? What's the number? What does that number look like? What's the average sale value? Map all of that out and say, so, I know this is all kind of, every sale is different, every value is different, but there will be a generalized picture of you that your average deal is, I don't know, £15,000. And so you need X number of deals each year to do what you want to do with your business. Or with your sales targets. And so you don't just go, oh, well, how are we going to hit our quota this month? Let's say, right, here's a list of all the people we want to do business with. Now let's go out there and let's start talking to them about the problem and move them forward. And with LinkedIn and digital, you can actually there's lots of indicators you can set up, little thresholds you can say, right, I now know where they are. I can judge where they are because of what they've done, and I can move them forward through the sessions. So in our social selling training, we actually teach people a very simple process of 7 steps, which is effectively testing where your relationship is with a prospect before you try to sell them anything. And it's a really handy way to do it. And it works in the short term, whilst content and live events, online events, and whatever other tools you want to use in your arsenal are helping nurture and incubate the people who you want to sell to in the future. And it works. It works for big companies like HubSpot, and it works for small businesses too. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, this model works. Now, why is it really good to do it at the problem stage? Why is it to talk about the problem? Well, if you catch people at problem and outcome stage where they're thinking about the problem, your competition is going to be much less, and you probably won't be competing against a direct competitor. So if I sell, SEO services, I won't be at the problem stage. I probably won't be competing against an SEO company. I'll probably be competing against a new website. I'll probably be competing against doing less website activity. I'll probably be competing about, should we get ads? It's a far more undefined route at that stage. They just know we've got this problem, and then they go, so how do we fix it? How can we fix it? Now, here is your problem. The further they go down that stage, the more they define what they want. And so think about it like this. If I've got a problem and my website's just not generating leads for me, at some point they go, I want leads. Yeah. And we need to find a way to get these leads. And you want, at that point, you could sell them Facebook ads, you could sell them SEO, you could sell them a Google ads campaign, YouTube ads, you could sell them all sorts of different things to solve that problem and get them to that outcome. There's lots of different things. But as they move on that process, they define, actually, we need SEO. And then they decide, well, this is what we need. This is what we need. And that's the criteria they then create to judge who is the best solution. If you are talking to them about the problem and the outcome early on in that stage, now you don't know where people are. So that's why you said you need to think about your whole pipeline for the next year and really start to build that out now. So you've got you're feeding yourself for the next year. You will help them define their problem, the outcome they want, and the route they want to take. And so here's kind of what happens. There are two stages that you have to talk to them about. Their problem and the outcome will mean that if they are aware of you, believe in you, and have a relationship with you, they are more than likely to buy and make the decision to buy from you. How do I know this? Well, HubSpot did a survey, and it's a pretty universal statistic that's out there now. 80% of people buy from the first person they spoke to. It's pretty difficult if you're chasing the people who are already looking for the solution to be the first. But at the problem stage and the outcome stage, you can be the first, because you can be the first person to spot them having a problem. You can be the first person to tell them that their current SEO isn't working. You can be the first person to show them that the current SEO, not specifically, not like pointing at them, but you can be the first person to highlight that the reason why most businesses' SEO is poor is because of X, Y, and Z. And so what happens is they look at the problem, they see you talking about it, they see you defining it, they see that you're showing people a way out of outcome, they come to the boil, they come to an interest level, and then they take that journey with you. They make the decision that they investigate it with you, they make the decision we're going to do something, and then they believe in your solution, and then they buy. With 20% of everybody, they will go and get 3 quotes, or they'll go wander around. Some of them will come back, some of them won't. But the advantage to you is that if they go into a competitive process, you've defined the parameters of how they're going to judge the right solution. You've helped them define, good or bad, you've done it. And so they will always judge the other alternatives against you, not the other way around. Whereas in the old model, the finding clients, you are defined by their previous experience, by their current method of dealing with this, or by other competitors. And so it makes it easier for you to differentiate your offer when you're dealing with people at the problem stage, because you're not up against another SEO agency or another this or another that. You're up against very different competition. Sometimes the competition could be actually doing nothing, rather than XYZ SEO company. So how do we get more sales? So it's simple. It's simple. And I'll just have a little drink for a minute. If you've got some questions on this session, please do put the questions in the chat, and I'll try to answer them as we go. So if you've got questions, love answering questions. I'll just pull the chat window up so everybody can see it. So yeah, if you want to ask questions, fire away, shoot from the hip. So the gap between where they are and where they want to be is your biggest tool. You can use this in your content. You can use it in your lead magnets. You can use it in your email outreach. You can use it in your webinars. You can use it everywhere you go. That if people have pain and they want an outcome, your job is to talk to those two things, which is what matters to them. Remember, people inherently want to hear what matters to them. We don't pay attention to things that are boring. Have a look at how your behavior works on Netflix. Yeah. Think about it like Netflix. You're selling to humans. And so think about your own behavior. If something doesn't interest you within the first few minutes, you're out of there. You've checked out, moved on, and gone. And so you have to talk to people about what matters to them, the pain and the outcome. And that's what you do. It's not about selling the solution. It's not about selling your bells and whistles, sorry. It's actually about selling them the outcome that they want to achieve, and then showing them that your gadget, service, product helps them get there. Often what people do is they say, we've got this new state-of-the-art, blah, 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 blah. And people don't care. People don't care about that. Those are things that are further down the buying journey where people want to know, does it do this? Can it do that? Can it do the other? But ultimately, the primary thing they want to know is, can it get rid of this pain they've got? And can they get somewhere else? So can they leave the pain behind, and can they get to a new destination? And then they want to know how. What does it do? Can it do this? Will it do that? Will it work? And all of that stuff. Can we trust this? Has other people done it? Have we got reviews? Have you got testimonials? Have you got case studies? Blah, 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 blah. Yet often lots of the things that we try and do to sell are actually the things that are the secondaries. The first thing we've got to do is get awareness and get people to believe and have a relationship with us, that they can see that we can help them go from where they are to where they want to be. And then we show them how our tool, service, product, gadget, tech, SaaS product, whatever it is, helps them do it. We can get too obsessed with our own service, our own product, our own technology, and then miss the obvious that people are buying it to achieve something. And the reason why people ghost you is they might get really excited about the tech, but what will it do? Really? Can it really do it? And so what happens is they love the gadget, shiny object syndrome, but then they didn't believe, weren't aware, didn't have the relationship with you to be able to go, actually, I think they could actually get us somewhere. I think they could actually sort our SEO. I think they could actually get more leads on our website. That's what we're trying to do. And so talking about the gadgets and all that trickery and wonderful stuff is nice, but it's secondary to getting people to see that it can take them from pain to an outcome, pain to an outcome. So your job is to provide value, talk to their pain, so your prospects, and I've highlighted this, can see for themselves that you can help them. Does your activity that you're doing to show value allow people to see for themselves that this can help them? Or are you having to tell them this can help them? How are you helping people see it, discover it? There's a difference between discovery and being informed. So being informed is where somebody comes and presents the information to you. That's the classic LinkedIn sales pitch. Whereas when somebody discovers it, it's like, I stumbled across this, or I found this. Now, nobody stumbles across anything. People put things out with intent. You put lead magnets out, you put posts out, you put social media out, you put direct marketing out, you put emails out, so that people stumble on it. And so content is a key element of helping people stumble, whether that be emails, whatever it is, you're using some form of content messaging to get people to stumble on something. And so let me ask you, and it's a quiet session tonight. Maybe everybody's thought Dean needs a night off because it's a birthday. We've got a few people across different groups here. Which one's right? I've highlighted it. Tell people what you do and try and start a conversation. Yeah. Or start a conversation and move it and talking about what you do. Which one works? Because what I see, LinkedIn, phone calls, email, particularly in a B2B environment, well, mainly in a B2B, is everybody's doing the left-hand side. Everybody's going, this is what I do. Can I help? Can we have a call? Can we have a conversation? Isn't this cool? We've won so many awards. Look what we've done for Amazon. Look what we've done for these. Yeah. It's like a bragathon. And then because they've done a bragathon, that means that we should want to talk to them. Or they do that. Do you need this? Can we help you make a video? Can we help you build a website? Can we help you do SEO? Do you need consultancy? I got a piece of direct mail today from a company. I don't know whether I can find it here or whether I've binned it. I may have binned it. Yeah, and it was a generic letter, the most uninspiring letter ever. And it was really funny because I got a personalized envelope, handwritten envelope. Yeah. But then the letter inside didn't even have my name on it because it's quite tricky to do that. So I knew that it's not even on a proper letter. It's printed on a laser printer. And it tells me about apologizing for his out of the blue approach, and tells he's done all of these things in large consulting companies. He doesn't know what my plans are, but is it worth having a conversation? But I have no idea what he does, what problems he can solve for me, what help he can bring. It's just a classic generic message. RM, I'll answer your question in a second. So RM has asked, how long do you have a conversation before you say what we do? So we're running a program tomorrow about this on LinkedIn. So we'll put the link in the chats here so you can get it, but if you want to come along. But effectively what we do is we teach a 7-step process of building relationships before you pitch. And then literally in that conversation with it, once you've started a conversation, depending on how senior the decision maker is, obviously if you're selling to somebody, there's a CEO of a 10,000 employee company, your sales process will be longer because you'll just generally the sales value will be higher than if you're selling to a small business owner. So I've seen this done at a large level in a few weeks. And I've seen this done on a smaller scale level, say a 10K sale or a small business. I've seen this done in a few days. But the key is using a 7-step process we've written, which you can adapt and tailor for larger sales, that allows you to build up the conversations, and it's all based on front loading awareness, belief, and relationship before you pitch, and making it clear that there's a relationship there, so it encourages people to respond. It encourages people to give you the time of day. So really big deal for me to do this. So now we're into Q&A, and hopefully some of you have got questions. I'd love to answer your questions, give you some examples of how this works. If you want to come. Janelle, I think I pronounced your name right there, Janelle. Janelle, actually, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of people would say the question the way you do. Do I follow the potential leads on LinkedIn to keep track of what they're posting so you can indate? Yeah, well, Janelle, yes, I would. But here's what I would do. I'd be focused on, how do I get awareness? I would be not just engaging with what they're doing. I'd be putting stuff out to encourage them to engage with what I'm doing. And so the key to that is to test your messaging out there, and then run this system with enough prospects to feed you, not just for now, not just for next week, but for a year. And I was talking to somebody this morning who we won't remain, we'll keep them anonymous, but they said that this morning that they'd been working on a process with a potential prospect, and they kind of reached the end of the road where they'd had a lot of roadblocks where the prospect had not engaged with them. And so they have what they call a Hail Mary. And the Hail Mary is their last ditch attempt before they move on. And they decided to do their Hail Mary a bit different way, in a way that we taught them. And lo and behold, they got a reply. They got a reply. They got engagement. They got interest. And would you believe they actually ended up having a conversation, getting the contact so that they can talk business on a Hail Mary, because they just changed the way they did it. Hyper relevant, hyper personalized, ABR, awareness, belief, relationship. And the closer it looks like you've taken the time and you're personal with it, the more likely you're going to get a response. You can't do this cold. People are so trained to knocking out cold. Craig, absolutely, we will send you those details. No problem at all there. I will get those information to you. There's no problem there. Anybody else got any questions? Hey, I might get home for my birthday cake early tonight. Any questions? No? So let me just share with you a story, because this will really help you. I'm just going to share a little story with you, because I had an experience a few years ago, and this will help some people here. I think we've got another question. Matt, which industries and job titles does LinkedIn work best with? Matt, that's a big question. LinkedIn as a channel, you can target anybody: coaches, solopreneurs, CEOs, CTOs. The key thing with that is understanding your customer well and having a process. Most people use LinkedIn as a research tool and a hit and miss, kind of have a go and forget about it, and then go nuts on it and then forget about it. The key thing is to have a process, work through a process, and rinse that process, but not in an aggressive, cold calling way, in a kind of very relational way, which works. And most people don't want to do that. They want to kind of just hit people hard. They want to just kind of, hammer people. And there is a numbers game you can play. But what happens is you end up burning all the people. And have a look at my LinkedIn post from today. If you are not aware of it, have a look at my LinkedIn post, because I actually talk about this on LinkedIn today, about people going on LinkedIn, going nuts, and what they end up doing is killing a load of potential leads. Matt, would you believe I was taught it's actually relatively easy to sell tech projects to finance people on LinkedIn. The key thing is getting them to reply, which is where your sales process really does matter. Getting that sales process to really work. And it's not a case of just going, okay, we're going to send 500 messages and deal with the replies, because you literally burn people. They go, no thanks, and what do you do then? It's about fostering it to the point where you've got the process. And even if you do, like one of my clients, in fact, that client sells to finance people, and they are dealing with large financial transactions. Janelle, you can use the principles of this on email. It does work. It's not as effective because email's becoming saturated, so you have to work that bit harder to get people's attention. I think the industry statistic now is, if you're using cold email to sell, it's probably somewhere around the 7th or 8th email before people pay attention. So it's a lot. However, if you do LinkedIn right, you can do it so that you have a 25% reply rate. In other words, they reply to your messages, not the 1% or 0.5% that people get on their usual LinkedIn pattern. And I'm sure that will come under pressure the more people get sophisticated and really understand the art of relational selling on social media, that will get more difficult. But I think also at the same time, more and more people are going on LinkedIn. So I think you've got the both playing to your favor at the moment, that you've got potentially people who will buy from you right now because LinkedIn's new, and some of those will become more mature, and brand new people are coming into LinkedIn all the time. In the UK, the LinkedIn membership grew by about 2 to 3 million people during last year, and it's growing still. It's growing all the time. So yes, Janelle, you can use this process by email, but the key thing is that your emails are trying to create two-way conversations, two-way all the time, not here's a load of information, can you buy from us? It's two-way information. And so that's really, really important. One of the things you find as well when people are doing churn strategies is that they get replies and it takes them too long to respond. And so you end up where they've replied and you take weeks to come back. How long do I take creating content for my LinkedIn page? Do you mean my profile or my company page? Well, I can answer both. I spend now maybe an hour a day creating content, and I create my own content, and we teach people how to create content at speed. It's hard, but you get quicker at it and it gets easier the more you understand your customers. And one of the things we do in our paid programs is we teach people how to understand their customers better in terms of the language they should be using, the phraseology, so that they understand it. And so less than an hour. My swipe files actually probably take about an hour. That's why I don't do them very often. But most things take me less than an hour. And I'm often alternating very similar themes wrapped around, and I don't know if you can see it. I write on my window behind me, my glass wall, and I write my pain points of my customers and all of that kind of stuff to do it. Matt, not a sequence. Yeah. And this is where a lot of people try to do it. Let's build a LinkedIn, what do they call it? A cadence sequence. You don't need a cadence sequence. Earlier today, 4 o'clock, I had a session with our accelerator members. So that's a program we run 90 days. We take people through from zero and we force them to sell stuff. Even the ones who just love learning and don't want to sell stuff, we try and force them to sell stuff. And I did a live demo. I did a live demo and showed them how they could get a conversation with a buyer the first time. And that's what I was saying earlier, Matt. I understand why you would want a sequence, a LinkedIn messaging sequence, but you actually don't need one. If you want to do this right, you could bin the automation. And I've got people doing this. They're not using automation. They're doing it all organic, and they're generating calls with the right people, because you target the people you wanted to create conversations with on day one. Whilst everybody's saying you can automate it and fire out sequences, yeah. And then when it doesn't respond as you've hoped, you go, there must be something wrong with our sequence. There's probably nothing wrong with your sequence. It's just people are used to it. You can't personalize it. You can't tailor it enough. But when you know, it's great for sending invites or sending webinar invites or PDF, white papers and things like that. It works brilliantly. How do you start the conversation? Well, that's the killer question. So I teach that. I show people that there's effectively 4 different ways to do it. But all of them resolve around this: understanding your customers' pains deeply in the way that they talk about it, not the way your industry talks about it, the way you talk about it, the way the customer talks about it. If you want, Matt, I don't have the time here to go through it. If you want our free worksheet on how to understand the pains of your customer and how to construct content based on the pains, drop us an email. I'll try and put our email on the screen so you can see it. There we go. There's our email. So if you want to drop us an email and ask for our pain point worksheet, we'll email it back to you, And it's really a very simple worksheet. It's actually quite hard because it forces you to think like the customer. And so all the bells and whistles that you might have in your sales talking points kind of fall away, because customers want to talk about that. So just email us. We'll send you the worksheet. We'll send you some details of the programs we run as well, but you'll get the worksheet for free. And we don't do kind of chasing you down for stuff. That's not how we roll. And we'll happily share with you a worksheet, which will help you do this. But Matt, you can do a sequence, but what you'll find is your performance rate will be low. If you want to do conversations and you want to have conversations with buyers, slightly different strategy, but actually you can do them on day one and they perform. My record at the moment is about 25%. Matt, customer avatar, listing the pains, but in more detail. And I'll tell you why, Matt. And I'm going to wrap up in a minute because my voice is killing me and I've got another call and I've got my birthday cake to do. Think about it like this, Matt. When a customer has a problem, yeah, you might know in your scenario, you've got technology. Yeah, you're selling a technology. You might know that the technology isn't the right thing. You might know that the solution they've got just won't do what they want. But the customer may be focused on trying to get what they're doing, what they're using to do what they want. In other words, if you think about it like a sickness, which is oddly topical, instead of trying to treat the root cause of the problem, the customer is focused on treating the symptom. A bit like, for an example, let's say, I have to watch with this because these examples go too far with this example. It could become insensitive, but let's say I've got the common cold and I've got a runny nose. This is an example of what sometimes customers do. Customer goes, I've got a runny nose. I'll get some tissues. Yeah. Now, somebody might come up to me and say, why don't you take some Lemsip cold and flu? No, I'll be fine. I just need a tissue. And so in some scenarios, rather than take the Lemsips and the vitamin C and the paracetamol to make them feel a bit better and all that kind of stuff, very interesting example at the moment. I don't want to go too far with it because I might put my foot in it and say something insensitive because of what's going on. Sometimes customers become obsessed with just getting tissues. And then what happens is when you use tissues too much, and I'm going a bit gross now, and then you end up with a sore nose. And so instead of going, actually, I can't keep just blowing my nose like this because it's hurting, they go, actually, I need softer tissue. Meanwhile, you're getting frustrated because you think, actually, you just need to take the medication to get rid of your cold and make yourself feel better. You need something to stop the bunged up nose and all that kind of stuff. That's the example. Sometimes rather than focus on the real problem, what you solve, they're focused on a symptom of the real problem. And you go in there and say, this is the real problem. They go, no, you don't understand. It's actually this. And you go, yeah, I know that. But this is the real problem. You have to take them on that journey. You have to show them how solving the real problem solves the symptom. I know that's kind of a lot of lingo there to go through, but hopefully that makes sense. Janelle, I'm going to answer your question by showing you a diagram. Based on what you're saying, you're probably targeting people at the end of the buying cycle. Yeah. So Janelle, I don't know what you do, but I would, for everybody selling at a low price, there's a customer buying at a high price. It's just a universal rule. If I'll tell you now, I sell one of my programs. I have two programs, main programs. We have three. We have our LinkedIn Live programs where we teach people how to social sell on LinkedIn. We have our LinkedIn Elite program, which is where we teach people all the information and then we coach them in a coaching call how to do it. And then we have the accelerator, which is basically help me sell stuff over the next 90 days. And we literally train people how to do it. Now, when I've done my own market research, I know for a fact that for every time I sell my accelerator program at 2,400, including VAT for the 3 months, there's somebody selling the equivalent service or a similar service for 10,000. and there will be somebody else selling it for 500 quid. And the key thing is to find the people, Janelle, map out the people who are not there yet. So talk to the people, not about do you need translation services, but do you want to reach more customers? How do we reach customers in more territories? How do you do that? And focus on that. I've got somebody on our team who's a translator, and I've got Vasco who also speaks 7 different languages as well. And depending on where they are in their buying cycle. So for an example, in order to close a sale, I needed a translator, and I needed a translator to start the following week. So I found somebody who could start the following week. Yeah. If I didn't have to start the following week, and if I didn't have to link that to a sale, guess what? I probably would have shopped around and found somebody that may be a bit cheaper. Yeah, because I had more time on my hands, and I had the value wasn't as sensitive. So it's about mapping out the best pains you can solve, and quickly. So if there's businesses doing lots of international business, you should have an offering to say we can jump on calls quickly, and we can help you in business negotiations. Because I tell you now, people who want to do business negotiations will pay a lot more than somebody translating, say, a promotional video. Yeah. So just think about it like that. What are you translating? What's the pain? We're trying to do business with this customer, and we need to have a conversation. That's more valuable than maybe translating a video one-off. So it's thinking about the offering you're making and where you're making it. Any more before I wrap up? Any more? Cool. So one quick favor, if you've got some value from that, come find me on LinkedIn. Please go like our company page. If you're on the LinkedIn event, please, wherever it is, like our page. That would be brilliant. And just go explore this, kind of dig into this a little bit, and find the info and see how you can implement this in your business, because it served me well I've learned this over 20 years and implemented it over 20 years. And what I've found is it helps me sell on value rather than price. And I am going to wrap up now. Oh, Matt's asked one more question. So, Matt, there's 2 ways to do this with a demo. And I've actually got a client who provides some clever software, and there's 2 ways to do it. The first one is if the software's got some sizzle, in the sense that it's obvious how it can solve a problem, I would tease that out before the demo. So I would tease and show them that, and maybe you can just tease that in the first intro call. To answer your question, before that, how do you pre-qualify, or how do you take to qualify someone if they request a demo? If you're doing this process right, say LinkedIn, and I know you've mentioned LinkedIn, so you would be you would know if they were qualified beforehand, because they're the people you've chosen to do business with. They're the people you're reaching out to. Yes, there will be times when it throws up curveballs, and I've seen this, by the way. I've seen, and I talked about this with somebody else this morning, that sometimes you end up with somebody who reaches out to you to show interest, and they're like the receptionist. And what we don't know is that receptionist title actually covers a ton of other things, and they're almost like an EA to the CFO, or the EA to the CEO, and we didn't even realize it. And so sometimes that qualification can trip you up. If Vasco was on this call tonight, inbound, Matt, well, it's really easy to qualify them first. Just check the company out, check the headcount out, check the very details out, because you can't qualify. If you try to get people to fill in a questionnaire, you kill the relationship. So yes, you will waste a bit of time, but sometimes what happens is you try and pre-qualify people, and you disqualify them because they won't fit down your process. Have a quick call, see if it's relevant, and if it's not, move on. Yeah. So Matt, if you can do the demo, do the demo. So I would try and, in my first call, keep focused on the pain and the outcome, tease how it works, then show them in more detail. Remember, people want the headline pretty quick, and then they sit on the front of the chair and move forward and pay more attention. So instead of going through 86, Matt, sorry if it sounds like I'm picking on it. I've been involved in a lot of tech businesses, and I can remember one where their deck to show people was 86 slides. 86. And it's like, where in this slides are you actually showing me the killer bit that solves my problem, solves the customer's problem? And we helped them cut it down to about 15. And it was the gadgetry of it was actually the secondary thing. That was the validator. It wasn't actually the thing that brought people over the line. So I'd focus on the pain and the outcome, what they want to achieve, and then show them how your gadgetry technology helps them get there. And you can do that really quickly. You don't need to do the whole full-blown demo call. If you can do it quickly and show them and say, have you got some time now? I'll show you quickly now. One, that's quite novel because everybody's trying to go, oh, let's have a call and another call. And it can be quite frustrating. I can remember when I signed up for one CRM, I signed up, they gave me a call, and then they signed up for a demo call. Then I had the demo call. Meanwhile, I'm like hooked. I want to use it. And I'm still like, come on, come on, come on. And then I lose the moment. Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Matt. Because, you know, obviously, if it's somebody like a window cleaner and you're selling something for 50 grand to a CFO, there's an obvious process you can do there. But sometimes if the company fits, you might have to just suck it up and talk to them, because you can't externally qualify them just by looking at their roles, because everybody makes up their roles differently. I can see, for an example, I've seen an admin assistant who's actually got us in and said, can you actually provide training to our 50 sales team? But if I pre-qualified her out because she's too low, I'd missed the opportunity. So that's what I'd say. So if you want a copy of our pain worksheet, just email us hi@maverick.co.uk. We'll email it to you. And I'm going to wrap up now, go do one more call, and then I'm going to have my birthday cake. I'm going to see my wife. I've been working all day, so I'm sure she'll be nice. It'll be nice for her to see me. And, you know, come to our other sessions. We've got some other free sessions, and check out our paid programs. But I hope you've had value from tonight. If you want a copy of the slides or a copy of the replay, just email us and we'll do it. But other than that, have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you on LinkedIn, social